Hi there, it's Julie Podewitz. Today's episode is a solo one. It's on time optimization. We just had daylight savings. Time management is a topic that is on a lot of people's minds. There's never enough time in the day. And daylight savings kind of brought this back to my attention. I've also been asked to do some trainings on time, quote unquote, management recently. So I thought I'd record a solo podcast. I hope you enjoy. We'd like to thank Advantage Anywhere for sponsoring this episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. At Advantage Anywhere, we understand senior living communities. Our customizable CRM and automation system is designed to help you convert more leads into move-ins faster, easier, and with less manual effort. With personalized follow-up automations, your team can focus on what matters most, spending time with prospects to get more move-ins. Visit www.advantageanywhere.com to see how we can help you get more move-ins with less stress. Hi, welcome to another episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. I'm Julie and I'm here solo today. Hope everyone's doing well. Spring is coming. It's March 8th as I'm recording this, and we just had daylight savings yesterday. Why does it happen on a Sunday or really Saturday? Well, I guess it's Sunday because it's what, 2 a.m? Why can't it be on a Monday when we lose an hour, right? I am not anywhere near an expert on any of this, but reading about the effects of switching time back and forth, and most of you listening, the US do switch time. There's Arizona does not, and there's some sections I think in Indiana that don't, but the majority of US does time daylight savings, and the history of daylight savings goes way back to, I think it's agricultural, right? So when the US was primarily agricultural society, daylight savings literally gave people more time to work outside, which is what so many did. And now we don't do that. The daylight savings, now, who knows? I mean, there's a lot of people thinks we shouldn't do it and all of that, but we still do it, most of us. And it is 1 hour, but man, it really does cramp your style. And that Monday afterward, I don't know about you, but kind of feeling a little cross-eyed today. But so a topic since time, and daylight savings time, and time is such a precious commodity. We never feel like we have enough time. Do you feel stressed? Do you feel pressure? Do you have more to do on your to-do list than you have time? You can't ever get time back. Too stressful to think in those terms. But I am asked to talk about time management as a topic that is on a lot of people's minds. I'm asked to do trainings on it. What's the optimum way to, quote unquote, manage time? And, I've been thinking a lot about this, and it's something I struggle with as well. The day ends and, there's 3 things you didn't get done, right? And I've taken class and I've used planners and I still do. One of the things that's helped me a lot is good old fashioned grid, the urgent, important, not urgent, and keeping that front and center. I have a business coach and he's helped me a lot in this area, and I thought I'd share with you. It's really not, in my mind, it's not about time management as much as time optimization, because you only have a certain amount of time. And if we're talking about work, how much time is that? 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours? And during that time that we're at work or working, whatever schedule we work, there's a certain amount of time within that time frame that we're actually doing the job, because there are breaks and there's lunch and then there's chatting, water coolers. Do people still have water coolers to talk about? Or in the break room, there's walking around, and it's a lot of quote unquote wasted time. And think too much about it and analyze it down to the minute might drive you crazy. So, but I'm here to share some things that have helped me. Number one is think of it as time optimization and not necessarily time management. But so in that vein, so time optimization, think about what is it that you do that makes the biggest impact as far as the outcome, right? No matter what your role is. In other words, where should you be spending most of your time? And start there. That is what should not come off your plate. As a matter of fact, carve more time to do that. My suggestion is limit it to 3 things, or in other words, 3 slices of the time pie. I think in terms of a circle, and right now think about all the things that you do, the pie is sliced in way too many slices. So the first thing is take your pie, chunk it in 3 slices, and then identify based on your role, based on the outcomes, what is it that you're paid to produce. That's where you go back to your pie and say, okay, here are the 3 categories of time optimization. What are some of the actions or activities that fall into each one of those slices? If you're in sales, your responsibility is to sell, to bring in revenue, to give your supervisor a check, right? Or if you're in senior living, it's the deposit, it's the sale, it's the check. That's what salespeople are paid to produce. And think about, okay, what is it that specifically for sales directors, what do I do that is the closest to a deposit? Work yourself back up the funnel. Well, the answer is being face to face. And in senior living or multifamily, it's touring, having people come to your community, come to your building, or you going to them. Maybe you're meeting them off property, or you're going to their home or wherever they live, right wherever they live now, for an initial meeting, a revisit, a third time, just different dynamics. That is where you should be spending the most time, right? Going bump up the funnel, it's on the phone, voice to voice, or communicating virtually. So texting, if they're texting back, or emails kind of go in the way of snail mail, but people do still communicate through email. And I'm not talking about sending mass email, I'm talking about specifically same with text. If that is the way a person's communicating back to you, great. That's the answer to time optimization. Now, it's being disciplined to prioritize those activities. So move away from feeling like you need to be busy. I'm busy doing my activities, and go to a framework of I'm productive. I've had to work so hard on this, and it's a work in progress, because like you, I'm sure, I'm a doer. I like to get a lot done. We work fast, have far-reaching goals, short-term goals, goal-oriented, ring the bell, check off the box, have this long to-do list, check, 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 check. Sometimes, the joke about, putting something on the list simply so you can check it off, guilty, right? Feeling really accomplished, and feeling accomplished is a good thing, but feeling accomplished just because you did a bunch of checks on the checkbox isn't necessarily the ideal. Years ago, I had someone say to me, and not in the nicest way, so I wasn't sure how to take it, but now when I think back on it, taking it into this context of you need to do less. You need to do less is what they told me. I'm like, you want me to accomplish less? And they said yes at that time, but I don't think they meant the outcome less. They meant do less, take some things off your plate. So that I'm not working in this kind of fury pace, like, oh, rush, always feeling rushed, feeling stressed. There's so much to do, there's so much to do, there's so much to do, there's so much to do. And there will continue to be so much to do. If we're thinking in terms of 19 slices of pie, if you're thinking in terms of 3 slices, you still have a full plate, you still have a full pie, but your mind is less cluttered. With a less cluttered mind, it's like a less cluttered desk. You're working with clarity, greater clarity, and being more in a state of like productivity versus busy. So being productive versus being busy. So time optimization, paring down your categories. And then your pie slices are not even. You spend the most time, the majority, your biggest time slice. And if you're in sales, it's on the phone, face to face or virtual or texting, right? Just communicating with your customers, outreach, communicating with your referral sources, people who your lead sources, in other words, right? Then you go from there. So if you're really conditioning yourself to think in these terms, the question that in sales we should continually be asking ourselves, is this what I'm doing this right this minute in the prime time, right? Your sweet spot, your prime time, there's slices of activity. Am I doing prime time activity? Or am I doing secondary or potentially unnecessary activity? And I get it. It's that need to feel productive, need to feel like we're getting something done. So we might pull ourselves because we don't really want to get on the phone, or oh my gosh, or the past dues or CRM. It just feels like so much to tackle. And I'll make pretty baskets, or I'll tidy up my desk, or I'll sort through my email again to feel productive when that isn't productive at all. And let's talk about email. And let's talk about pop-ups. Oh my gosh, if you have pop-ups or bings and tings, you're really prohibiting yourself from being in a time optimizing state, really. So block out turn off pop-ups. If it's urgent or it's absolute urgent, important source, that one source, maybe you say, okay, I'll have a pop-up. If it's my child's school, it'll pop up at me. But to have pop-ups or bings or tings, that's constant interruption. There's no way to get into a zone. And in order to do anything really well, we need to be in the right headspace. You need to be in the right zone, right? So the right state of mind. And in order to get into that state of mind, it takes a minute, and maybe not a literal minute. It takes a bit of time, getting on the phone and getting into a rhythm. And I'm in my zone. I used to work for a professional artist years and years and years ago, world-renowned, phenomenal genius. And he told me that it would take him several hours to get into the state of readiness, the state of mind, the state of genius. He didn't use those terms to paint. It wasn't like you sit down, pick up a brush, and boom, go. So he forbid any disruptions at all. When he was painting, it was absolutely no disruptions. He turned everything off to get into the state, because if he was interrupted, then it takes him out of the state, and then all that time to get back into that state. And while we may not be artistic genius, we do all require a certain state. Like if you're writing something, I know when I'm writing a book or writing, a blog, an article, white paper, I need to get into a certain state. It needs to be quiet, and it can't be, oh, I've got 20 minutes before my next call. And let me just get into the book. It's got to be a big chunk of time to get into that state, right? So think in terms of your slices again, especially your customer time, and planning for that time. Planning is an important slice. What your planning impacts, and then what does your planning require, and why is planning important? Even planning your time optimization, it's worth the time it takes to plan it, meaning the output. You're going to get a greater outcome. There's a lot of discipline in this, and a dedication to it, and decision. So deciding, okay, in what way might I make my time, quote unquote, management, time optimization more beneficial? Choose one thing. If you check email periodically through the day, like frequently, that could be one thing that you discipline yourself to check 2 times a day or 3 times a day. And that in and of itself, that meaning continually checking email, being it pops up, I'm going to check it, is a roadblock to time optimization for sure. Pop-ups on your phone. Turn your phone upside down, turn it on silent. My goodness, our devices we're all addicted to them. And there's so much, I'm not a scientist, but there's so much studies now coming out of how addicted we are, and how disruptive, and what it's doing to our brain and our attention spans, which are fleeting anymore. So anyway, not to go on and on and on about it, but the shift from going from time management to time optimization, something that's really important to me, and deciding, I thought I would share it today since it's daylight savings time. Years ago, a mentor gifted me a watch, which was a lovely, lovely, lovely gift. And on the card, it said, you can always make more money. You can never make more time. And I saved that card. And again, you don't want to freak out about, oh my gosh, time is getting away from me, because the state of stress is another topic. But I'm going to have someone on the podcast to talk about stress. I am definitely not any kind of expert on stress. The only thing I know about stress is I'm under it quite a bit. I feel it, and I'm aware of that, and really worked on the rudimentary fundamentals of stress reduction, like exercise daily, breathing, when I can remember, deep breaths, standing up, if sit down a lot, standing up, and talking through for super stressed. And there's, I'm sure, a lot more, but again, I'm definitely not an expert on that. So happy daylight savings if you like this, or if you like falling back, or you're in a zone, you're in an area where you do neither. I think we're all welcoming spring no matter where we are. Thanks for taking time with me today on this episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. Till next time, thanks for sticking to the end, and thanks for listening, liking, and sharing. I really appreciate it.
We'd like to thank Advantage Anywhere for sponsoring this episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. At Advantage Anywhere, we understand senior living communities. Our customizable CRM and automation system is designed to help you convert more leads into move-ins faster, easier, and with less manual effort. With personalized follow-up automations, your team can focus on what matters most: spending time with prospects to get more move-ins. Visit www.advantageanywhere.com to see how we can help you get more move-ins with less stress.